What is good, YouTube? It's your boy OG Nonboy back with another video, and in today's video I got a team featuring Whiscash in the front with Pelipper as a safe swap and PIDGEOT in the back. And as you can see here, I have the rank 1 PIDGEOT, so I was really excited to see that it got a buff due to the wing attack buff this season. So without further ado, let's see how the new wing attack buff affects the PIDGEOT and the Pelipper. So let's get into these battles here. First match, we have the Whiscash into Vigoroth. So at some point, I'm going to want to get out of this matchup just because we do need to save it just in case there is some sort of counter to flying types in the back. So I'm going to eat this first move here, and I'm most likely going to swap into my Pelipper. And they actually meet us with one of the hardest counters, which is a Galvantula, as we are taking double super effective damage from these volt switches. And a lot of times your opponent likes to farm you all the way down. But since they do decide to do that, we are able to get 2 weather balls off, and this does threaten a shield from the opponent if they want to maintain switch. So I'm going to bring my Whiscash back in just because I don't want to tank a electric type move on my PIDGEOT in the back. And we kind of do make a mistake here by hitting our charge move and entering a CMP event just because they do win CMP. But this isn't the worst position for us to be in, depending on what is in the back. So they bring their Vigoroth back in, and since my Whiscash is low, I do swap into my PIDGEOT. But now they have a Golbat in the back, and this puts us in a pretty sticky position since they are going straight for the debuffing move of Poison Fang. And if we go for the Brave Bird, we will be debuffing our defense as well. So I'm kind of hesitant to do that with them still having a shield, but they called the Feather Dance bait correctly, which more or less will cost us the game here, since I mean, if we went for the Brave Bird and they shielded and then like we were already debuffed with the Poison Fang, then the counter damage from the Vigoroth, since it is neutral, would have been enough to take us out. So kind of a tough position to be in, but Vigoroth, you know, our team doesn't have a direct answer to it, so had to play around it, and we weren't able to successfully in this match. So GG's to the opponent there. But they get to another body slam. I don't know why we haven't surrendered yet, but this game is basically over at this point. So next match, we're going to have the Whiscash into, well, I guess I edited this quite poorly, so there's a little bit of extra fluff in between the battles here, but I am on vacation, so as you might notice, the setup is a bit different. But we have Whiscash into the Galvantula, and this is a pretty solid lead just because we do resist the volt switches, but they still will be able to do neutral damage with the lunges. So opponent electing to stay in here for some time, but we definitely have to stay in here since we do not want our back 2 Pokemon seeing the Galvantula. So I'm going to stay in here, just fire off as many mud bombs as we can. I feel like going for the Blizzard is a little bit risky, since if they do shield that, then it puts us in a bit of a tricky situation. So they get off a second lunge, and again we're just going to go straight for the mud bombs. So opponent not likely to shield this as we have been debuffed twice, and they only have a single shield remaining. And I come back in with the Pelipper to snipe them down, but we do take a lot of damage from the volt switch. And now they bring in a Probopass, so our Pelipper actually does have some play against this just because we do have the Weather Ball. So as you can see here, they're just about half health, but our switch clocks are desynced quite a bit, so this is going to be a pretty tricky situation for us if the opponent decides to swap out, and they do into the Noctowl here. So I'm going to shield this move to preserve my Whiscash just because I do need that for the Probopass, and I'm going to bait here with a Mud Bomb because I do have to throw energy to kind of wait out the switch clock and be able to bring in my PIDGEOT. So that's what I end up doing, and thankfully the opponent does shield, so this puts us in a position where we can still win this match. So I'm going to go straight for the Brave Bird since we probably will only get to 1 move before they're able to take us out. Both of these moves aren't like the cheapest moves, the Feather Dance and the Brave Bird, so as we anticipated, they're going to take us out with a Sky Attack before we can reach another move, and now we just have to take out this Probopass. Hopefully this Mud Bomb and some Mud Shots will be enough. It is double super effective, so one is able to do the trick, and we're able to farm down the Noctowl to win a very close match there. So Next match, we have Stunfisk into Whiscash, and this is obviously a positive lead for us, and they swap into a Pelipper, and I kind of froze on the spot just because we don't really have a direct answer to the Pelipper, and we do want to win switch back, so I'm going to stay in here, and we end up eating a Hurricane, which is terrible for us, but I go straight for the Blizzard here, and thankfully the opponent doesn't shield, so this allows me to come in with the Pelipper and farm them all the way down, and this should only be a Weather Ball, so we will be able to comfortably tank this as it is resisted. So now we have a lot of energy to throw some Weather Balls at this Stunfisk here, and since it is so spammy and these Weather Balls hit for a lot, the opponent is likely going to have to shield a move, or they're going to be put very low. So the opponent decides to shield that one, and they're going to get another move off, but I might decide to shield this just because we're so close to the next Weather Ball, and these Weather Balls are threatening. So they actually end up catching on their Noctowl. So I'm going to bring in my PIDGEOT here. So PIDGEOT's a little bit scary just because, like, obviously one of your moves doesn't really do a lot of damage. It is the bait move, and I don't know, I really just don't like playing with Pokemon that rely heavily on baiting, just because if you bait and then you do it wrong, then it sucks, and then if you throw the hard move and they shield it correctly, then it sucks. But the opponent doesn't shield the Brave Bird there, so got a little bit lucky. And then I'm also going to go straight for the Brave Bird here, just because it would be risky if they did shield it. So we end up winning that match there. Next match, we have the Whiscash into Aurorus, so this is a positive lead for us, and they swap into a Mandibuzz. So again, we don't really have a direct answer for the Mandibuzz, and since we do want to maintain switch, I'm going to stay in here a little bit and either try to grab a shield or chip the Mandibuzz. So I throw the Blizzard, and let's see if this connects or not. So opponent decides not to shield, so we should be able to maintain switch pretty easily with the Pelipper here. All we have to do is go for some Weather Balls, and that should be enough. So throwing one fast move before throwing the Weather Ball for optimal timing, and we're going to have to throw a couple more wing attacks to take them out, but that works out for us since it does allow us to gain a little bit more energy. So I'm going to throw these Weather Balls at the Aurorus. So as you can see, they're doing about half of its health, so they're going to have to throw a move to take us out. And I'm going to let that happen just because we do have a pretty good answer to the Aurorus in our Whiscash. So going to bring that back into the Aurorus here, and they're staying in for a bit. This will only be a Weather Ball just because the other move, the Meteor Beam, doesn't do effective damage to our Whiscash, but they actually swap into a Frost Glass. So they had ABA Ice, which is pretty bad for us since we have two flying type Pokemon in the back. So we definitely don't want our Pidgeot to see this, but our Whiscash is already so low, so we're able to take a shield thankfully, and I'm going to have to start shielding up these Avalanches just because they would do a lot of damage and be pretty close to taking out our Pidgeot. And I decide to bait here with the Feather Dance, and the opponent actually calls it, so now we're in a pretty rough spot. But even if we did land the Brave Bird, I think we would have been in a rough spot as well, since the Aurorus in the back does get to the Weather Balls pretty quick, and as you can see here, it does have quite a bit of health still. So really, I don't think, no matter how we played that, I think we would have been in some trouble just due to their team composition against our team comp. So yeah, GG's to the opponent there. They're going to be able to take us out with one last Weather Ball on our Whiscash. So, and I believe the next match is the final match out of these collections of battles. But next match we have the Buzzwole. So our back two Pokemon really love to see this. So I'm going to swap my Pelipper in, and we see an Aurorus. So we should be able to win switch back here, assuming we shield up the Meteor Beams correctly, as the Weather Balls from them are the Ice-type Weather Balls. So since Pelipper does have that Water subtyping, it will only do neutral damage. But I really do want switch here. Like, it's almost essential to winning this match, since the Flying type is double super effective against the Buzzwole. So as long as you're able to align your Flying type to the Buzzwole, even if you end up having to go down a shield, it's very worth it. So I'm going to shield everything here, and the opponent decides to let their Aurorus go, they are up a shield, but they bring in a Pidgeot. So now I'm feeling pretty comfortable, and I'm gonna go straight for the Hurricane here since like we still have our Whiscash for the Pidgeot, so we just want the shield essentially, and if they don't shield and the Hurricane lands, then that's pretty favorable for us. So it was just the best way to play that overall. And now I'm gonna bring my Whiscash back in. They're probably gonna throw a Brave Bird and then leave into their Buzzwole, but as you're gonna see here, like I said before, the matchup between Buzzwole and Flying types is very, very dominant for the Flying type Pokemon. So we're probably just gonna farm this thing all the way down. We don't even have to throw a move at the Buzzwole here. So that's exactly what we end up doing, and then we have a Brave Bird loaded and some change. So gonna go ahead and throw this Brave Bird at their Pidgeot, and it is one stage debuff from the lunge, but it just about takes them out, and we're able to take that match there. So yeah, overall some pretty fun battles there. Wing attack buff is very good for both of these Pokemon, and I'd say in particular it's even better for the Pelipper as it does reach those weather balls very quickly, and Pelipper kind of functions as a very good safe swap as it is pretty spammy, and it can help you flip some of those mid matchups to regain switch advantage or pressure shields. But that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also submit your battles in the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.